Hello, everyone. I'm Evelyn Upchurch, and this is my podcast diving into the socio-political messages embedded in the alt-rock music of the 90s and early 2000s. This era of music wasn't just about catchy tunes and rebellious guitar riffs. It was a time where bands used their platform to speak out about the issues that mattered, issues that still resonate today. When I was growing up, I heard a lot of this genre, and now, to no one's surprise, is my favorite genre of music. And music wasn't just entertainment. It was a way to understand the world. It helped me connect with my thoughts on politics, society, and identity. For me, and for so many of us, bands like Rage Against the Machine, Pearl Jam, Green Day, and Radiohead weren't just playing songs, they were providing a soundtrack to the questions we were asking about the world. What's wrong with the system? How do we fight against injustice? And what happens if we don't? So in this episode, I'm going to explore how the socio-political messages in these band songs still speak to the issues we face today. We'll look at how music from these artists not only defined a generation, but also continues to challenge us to think critically about the systems around us. And later on, I'll talk about some insights from my interview with Greg Umbra, a musician who's seen firsthand how these anthems of protest have shaped the way we engage with the world. So let's get started. So first, let me take you back to a Barenaked Ladies and Toad the Wet Sprocket concert I went to back in September. The venue was actually buzzing with energy despite the pouring rain, and people of all ages were coming together to celebrate music that still feels relevant decades later. Toad the Wet Sprocket's introspective lyrics paired beautifully with Barenaked Ladies' playful yet thought-provoking tunes. It reminded me that alt-rock's appeal lies in the balance between the personal and the political. These bands speak to the human experience, and at their best, they also challenge us to examine the systems in place that shape our world. One song that really stood out to me was All I Want by Toad the Wet Sprocket. Its lyrics, all I want is to feel this way, to be this close, feel the same. All I want is to feel this way, reflect a yearning for connection and understanding. On the surface, this seems like a deeply personal reflection on love and human relationships, but when viewed through the socio-political lens, it speaks to something broader. Our desire for collective unity, understanding, and social cohesion in a world that often feels divided. This emotional reflection sets the stage perfectly for exploring the genre's more politically charged side, as it makes you realize how many of the issues we face, alienation, inequality, and disconnection, and these are all symptoms of a larger social and political problems. As I thought about how All I Want connects personal reflection with a broader social message, my mind shifted to, funny enough, Rage Against the Machine. They take that yearning for connection and turn it into an explosive demand for justice, using music to not only voice their frustration, but to change the status quo. That's why I've chosen socio-political music in this episode, to highlight the ways music become a tool for social change. These songs don't just speak to personal emotions, they push listeners to question the world around them, and ultimately, to act. So, few bands embody political defiance like Rage Against the Machine. Their music is a relentless critique of the systematic oppression delivered with explosive energy. Their power comes from their ability to merge complex political messages with intense, raw emotion, challenging us to confront uncomfortable truths. Take Killing in the Name from their 1992 debut album. The lyrics, "Some of those who work forces are the same that burnt crosses," some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. These lyrics directly confront the hypocrisy of authority figures who perpetuate injustice. The imagery here links police violence and racial hatred, connecting the systematic oppression faced by Black Americans with the legacy of white supremacy. The repetition of "some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses" is an act of defiance, forcing listeners to grapple with these uncomfortable truths. By repeating the phrase, Rage amplifies the message that institutions built to protect society often perpetuate harm, especially for marginalized communities. Then there's Sleep Now in the Fire, released in 1999, which critiques capitalism and corporate greed. The song's message is encapsulated in its provocative music video filmed on Wall Street, which pushed against the very core of American financial institutions. By staging a protest that temporarily shut down the New York Stock Exchange, Rage sent a clear message. Corporate power is built on the exploitation of the masses. The lyrics, "The world is my expense, the cost of my desire," remind us of the human toll that greed and capitalism exact. This isn't just a critique of the rich, it's a critique of the entire system that allows exploitation to continue. When I interviewed him, Greg Umbra described the band's impact as a call to wake up and pay attention. Their music embodies the anger of the disenfranchised, urging us to reject the systems that perpetuate violence, inequality, and exploitation. In choosing these tracks, I wanted to highlight how socio-political music can be a call to arms, inviting listeners to not just reflect, but to actively challenge the status quo. Next, let's talk about Pearl Jam. Known for their introspective activism, they often ask tough questions about humanity's role and its own destruction and speak to those questions. They're actually my personal favorite band. Their work speaks to how deeply personal experiences intersect with large socio-political forces, asking us to reflect on how our actions impact the world around us. In 1998, Pearl Jam released Do the Evolution, a scathing critique of humanity's greed and environmental degradation. The animated music video, directed by Todd McFarlane, shows the violent evolution of mankind, from tribal wars to corporate greed. The imagery of mankind's evolution from apes to warlords is symbolic in the destructive path we've chosen. The song's lyrics, the song's title, Do the Evolution, is a testament to that. It's evolution, baby. I'm the beast, I'm the man. How it starts on the day of the crash. On the lunch, I'm a truck. All rolling hills, I'm flattening them out, yeah. It's herd behavior. Their lyrics often suggest that we as a society are at a crossroads. The quote-unquote evolution here isn't about progress. It's about regressing into more violent, self-serving behaviors. The song invites listeners to critically examine where we've been and where we're headed, and whether we're capable of breaking free from this potentially destructive cycle. Then if you fast forward to 2006, Pearl Jam then released Worldwide Suicide, which takes aim at the Iraq War. The stark imagery in the lyrics, medals on a wooden mantle next to a handsome face, capture the tragic loss of life and the human cost of war. The song critiques the political and corporate entities that profit from conflict, underscoring how these decisions come at the expense of real human beings. The bluntness of the lyrics, "I'm first to see the worldwide suicide," forces the listener to face the horrors of war, making us question who truly benefits from it. So Pearl Jam's music doesn't just critique, it urges reflection. Umbra called their work a mirror for society, challenging listeners to ask what kind of world are we creating. It's not just a protest against the powers that be, but a call for collective introspection. Pearl Jam's songs urge us to reflect on our responsibility for the world we've built, and to consider what actions we can take to make a better future. Now, to kind of take a more chaotic turn, we're going to look at System of a Down, which, like I said, take a chaotic yet incisive approach to activism. Their music embodies a raw, unfiltered critique of society, addressing everything from war to environmental destruction. Their chaotic style matches the volatile world they're critiquing, forcing listeners to confront uncomfortable truths. In Toxicity, the lyrics "How do you own disorder, disorder" speak to the contradictions in modern society. How we perpetuate disorder through war, greed, and environmental neglect, and yet still try to claim ownership over it.
The toxicity of our city, of our city. No! What do you own the world? How do you own disorder? Disorder!
The very frantic delivery of the song mirrors the chaos of modern existence, reflecting a world that is increasingly out of control. In the face of all this disorder, the question arises, how do we own it? How do we take responsibility for the chaos we've created? The song is a call to confront the disarray we've built. Then there's BYOB, or Bring Your Own Bombs, from 2005. The line, "Why don't presidents fight the war? Why do they always send the poor?" critiques the hypocrisy of those in power who make decisions about war without facing its consequences themselves.
Why don't presidents fight the war? Why do they always send the poor? Why don't presidents fight the war? Why do they always send the poor? Why do they always send the poor? Why do they always send the poor? Why do they always send the poor?
It highlights the class dynamics of war, where the poor are sent to fight and die while the elites profit. The song, with its heavy, aggressive sound, matches the fury of the lyrics, demanding that listeners not only recognize the issue, but challenge it. The question posed is profound. Why do we allow this disparity to continue? So System of a Down's music doesn't offer easy answers, but forces listeners to confront uncomfortable truths, a necessary step towards change. In choosing these songs, I wanted to showcase how art can both be chaotic and clarifying, mirroring the contradictions we face and urging us to question and change the systems that perpetuate this harm. Now I'm going to take a look at Green Day's American Idiot album, which is a masterclass in political critique. The title track calls out media sensationalism with lines like "Don't want to be an American idiot, don't want a nation under the new media."
Don't want to be an American idiot. Don't want a nation under the new media.
The song critiques the role of the media in shaping public opinion, highlighting how fear-mongering and manipulation have become the norm. The anger in the music mirrors the frustration many felt in the wake of 9/11, as America was swept into war based on manipulated information. The song is a call to resist the propaganda of mainstream media, urging listeners to think critically and reject the lies being fed to them. And a fun fact, with all the recent political things that have happened in the US, on their most recent tour, Green Day actually changed the lyrics of American Idiot to reflect their own political standing, and it was a very interesting thing to do, but it was also incredibly on point. So then there's their song Holiday, which takes a more aggressive stance, with Billie Joe Armstrong challenging warmongers and urging listeners to question authority. The song's fast-paced rhythm and aggressive tone reflects the urgency of questioning power structures. It's not just a protest against the Iraq War, but a demand for accountability and transparency from those in power. The song's message is clear. It's time to stop blindly following authority and start holding those in power accountable for the destruction they cause. Then on the other side of the spectrum, we have Radiohead. Their 2000 track, Idiotech, warns of climate change and social fragility with haunting lines like Ice Age coming, let me hear both sides.
Ice age coming, let me hear both sides, let me hear both sides, let me hear both. Ice age coming, throw him in the fire, throw him in the fire.
The song's eerie atmosphere reflects the impending sense of doom and uncertainty in the face of global crises, particularly climate change. The lyrics highlight the fears and anxieties many of us face when contemplating the future of our planet, especially now as seemingly it's gotten worse. Meanwhile, No Surprises from 1997 critiques political apathy. Its serene melody contrasts with lyrics like A Handshake of Carbon Monoxide, highlighting the quiet despair of accepting the status quo.
I'll take a quiet life on a handshake of carbon monoxide.
The song's melancholy tone speaks to the apathy and resignation that many feel in the face of environmental and political crises. It's a reminder that ignoring these issues only leads to more destruction and will inevitably be our destruction. Together, Green Day and Radiohead show how alt-rock can deliver impactful messages through both rebellion and reflection. Their songs critique both the systems in place and the societal complacency that allows these issues to persist. So, during my interview with Greg Umbra, we discussed the enduring legacy of alt-rock. He emphasized that these bands didn't just create music, they created movements. Greg said alt-rock is about challenging comfort zones, whether it's through raw defiance or quiet introspection. He also highlighted how Rage Against the Machine's Killing in the Name became a generational anthem, teaching listeners to channel anger into awareness. Similarly, Pearl Jam's Do the Evolution inspired him to think critically about humanity's environmental and social impact. He also shared a personal story about how American Idiot motivated him to pursue music as a tool for change. For Greg, alt-rock isn't just an art, it's really just a call to action, a way of saying we can do better. His insights reminded us that music's power lies in its ability to connect and inspire. Whether it's Rage Against the Machine's bold defiance or Radiohead's haunting warnings, the message is clear. Change is possible if we're willing to listen. So there you have it. 5 bands that use their music to challenge norms, spark conversation, and inspire action. From Rage Against the Machine's raw defiance to Radiohead's haunting reflections, these songs remain as relevant today as when they were written, if not more so. These bands showed that music isn't just a form of entertainment, it's a platform for protest, introspection, and transformation. Music has the power to amplify voices, connect us across generations, and remind us that change is always within reach. So if you enjoyed this, thank you for listening, and I hope that you guys all go out and find some music that you think means something to you or means something to the world. So thank you guys.